So let's begin. We'll lie down. I'll just turn my phone on silent. Hold on. Cool. Right, so let's start by lying down. Have our legs bent, feet on the floor, feet quite wide apart like we all often start. Feet quite wide apart, and then the feeling of the heel maybe a little bit wider than the toes. And then the legs can easily rest and fall against each other without trying to bring them together. And get comfortable in your feet so that they feel that they're in the right place for this to happen, for the thighs to rest. Sometimes too far away doesn't feel so good in the lower back. So you might try bringing them a bit closer, and if that feels too close, then just move them away a little bit. So you can feel that the abdomen can sink. The lower belly can fall a little deeper behind the organs towards the ground. And with that, you'll find that the lower back, by the sacrum, back of pelvis area, feels like it can widen. And finding the movement of the breath, it's not a big move, but a show of movement, a small expression of breath in that lower belly area, in the pelvis area. So you don't need to try to make it move, but just noticing that it does. And the more we soften, the more the ripple effect of the breath will travel down. And then just relaxing your neck as you roll your head from side to side, really slow. Like on a lazy, if you're on a lazy sunny day on holiday maybe, and you're just looking at the clouds with your eyes closed. A sense of really dropping and being relaxed. Don't remember when I actually last did that, but I'm experiencing it now. A little bit of that massage going on just through the weight of the head. And then we'll leave the head rolled over to one side and just exaggerate that turn from the side of the neck a little bit more. So you're not picking up the head and moving it, it's just an extra turn, an extra roll. You'll probably find that the head presses a little bit. And then reverse that and go over to the other side. Finding its natural bit and then turning a little more. And then coming back to center. You're going to roll the pelvis forwards and backwards. You can keep the knees together if that's okay. So you roll towards the tip of the tailbone, and then you roll towards the lower back, sort of waist area. And again here, in that way that we massage against the ground, using the body weight. And really relax your tummy when you're doing this, especially when you roll towards your waist. It's not core and press, it's relax your tummy and rest into the skin on your lower back. Relaxing. Core is useful for another, to activate and press through the core might be useful, but for now we're releasing the abdomen so it can fall back behind the organs. And then we'll stop there with the waist area perhaps touching the floor. And as you gently lengthen into the inner thighs. Very gentle, it's a soft movement. Keep allowing your belly to fall in. You might find that the abdomen deepens as you lengthen out through the knees. And then release. And then we'll turn the toes so that they're slightly angled out. And take the knees to the right. And as you do that, stretch your arms to the back of the room, fists, or stretch your fingers, or circle your wrists. A big, nice sort of yawny type stretch. Might stretch the wrists. And then come back with the arms and the knees. And then as we go over to the left, that's that full body stretch. All directions from the waist, we're reaching into the arms, into the knees. The right foot might sort of press into the floor to assist that. The inside edge of the right foot. And then coming back to the middle with the arms and the knees. So we'll move from the waist as we bring the knees to the right and the arms coming behind you, stretch in two directions. Maybe circle the wrist so that your paws get involved as well, your front paws, your hands and wrists, and then coming back to the middle. And as you exhale, stretching away. And then coming back to the middle. And bring the arms down. Okay, so take the knees back over to the right. And then from your middle, you're going to stretch away to your left knee from your side body. And then bring your left arm up behind you. Find your breath. So there's a tone in the area that we're lengthening, because by lengthening, there's a lengthened contraction or a lengthened tone in the waist. Two more breaths. And when we exhale, we'll draw the weight of our limbs back up to the middle. And then over to the left with the knees. Stretching out from your right side waist to the right knee. And you might find that the right inside foot presses to assist with that. And then reach your right arm behind you. It's more about our centre than the arm. The arm's sort of helping the waist to open. Couple more breaths. So find the fluidity of the movement of breathing through your system, through your body. And then as you exhale, gathering the weight of our right arm and the legs. And then bringing our feet to hip distance apart. Okay, so let's bring the right leg loosely up into the air. And we're going to circle quite big with the leg. But as you take your leg more out to the side and below towards the mat in these circles, resist the navel from lifting into a little back bend. So you're going to keep your lower back quite low to the floor, as if you're trying to keep it on the ground. So it's core work. And then bring the leg up, and we're going to go upwards with the leg. So you're reaching the leg from the waist. And as you start to take the leg towards the other end of your mat, keep reaching the leg from the waist, from the belly, from the lower back, so that the leg really lengthens. And then when you hover for a bit, keep the belly from lifting, and then bring the leg to the floor. And notice that when you let the weight of the leg go, there becomes a natural curve in the spine again. So to bring, not just yet, but to bring the leg back to a bent position. Okay, so now we're going to slide the knee out to the side. So you can slide up on the outside edge of your right leg and foot. and then roll onto the sole of the foot. So now both knees are bent. Okay, so let's bring our other leg into the air. And then start to make some circles. Clicky, tendon, clicky on that side. I'm sure you can't hear it. So the bigger the circles and the more you'll feel that, that core work, that engagement in our center to support the weight of the legs that are moving further out away from us. So obviously if you're holding something heavy, you hold it really close to you. If you want to have less effort with that. So the more we take it away, the more effort there is involved. But remember to keep that tone. And then we'll bring the leg up again and reach up from out of the waist and out of behind your belly. And then take the leg long away from you. Keep going longer and longer and longer. And then you're going to bring the foot to the floor and feel that relax. And then to bring the leg to a bent position, we take the knee, almost like you slide the foot to come into a bit of a tree pose. And then roll onto the sole of the foot. Okay. So you might need to watch this one first. It's sort of like a twisted bridge pose. So as I come up, I'm going to bring... I'll show you first. As I come up, I bring my right hand to my heart and lift the chest, and the hips will go with it. Then roll the left shoulder under, and then I'm going to turn over onto the left shoulder and reach for the side, okay? And then coming back. So let's do it together. So you place your right hand onto your heart, and you're going to inhale into your right hand to lift the chest. Follow it with your hips. And then tuck your left shoulder blade under so that it's easier to roll onto the side of your arm. And then reach on a diagonal towards the back of the room with your right hand. And then roll back all the way to the floor again. Left hand onto your heart. We're going to lift the heart, lift the hips. Tuck your right shoulder blade right under so you can roll onto the outside of the edge of your arm more easily. Roll onto the right edge of your arm and reach with the left on a diagonal towards the back of the room on a diagonal, and then rolling back again. All the way down. Right hand onto your heart. You're going to lift your heart, lift your hips, tuck your left shoulder under, roll onto that left side. Reach on a diagonal with the right arm and roll back out. And then we're going to do the other side. So left hand onto your heart, lift your heart and your hips, tuck the right arm under and roll onto it to your right. So you're in a bridge twist, left arm reaching. We'll do one more on each side. Okay, so right hand onto your heart, coming up into your bridge on an inhale. Rolling onto your left arm as you exhale. And coming all the way back. Left hand and lifting up. Tucking and rolling onto your right side. And then coming all the way back down again. Okay, and then we'll come into a butterfly position with the legs. So soles of the feet together and the knees wide. And to get a little length into the groins area, the creases at the hips to the body, you're going to get the heel of your hand as close to the very top of your thigh bone as you can. So right up with part of your hand probably still touching the pelvis. and push it away from you, and then let your belly lengthen upwards away from where you're pushing with your hands. So we're trying to find a length in our abdomen and a length in the groins, a length behind the lower front ribs. Great. Couple more breaths. And release that activation with the arms. Take them out to the sides, bring the knees together and then up into the air. And it's up to you if you cross the ankles. Sometimes it's quite nice because it helps the legs to sort of stick together a bit more. You don't have to have the knees together though, that's up to you. Just let the legs kind of rest and then roll towards your right buttock flesh. So it's a tip to the knees to the right. But we want to keep the left armpit low to the floor. Okay, so allow the left side of your collarbone, the left side of your pec muscles to widen to the left. And then come up, so you roll across the right buttock and over to the left buttock. It's kind of more the upper end of the buttock, more towards the top of the pelvis really, so it's not right down low on the center of the buttock flesh. And then, because you want to keep your knees tucked up, and then drop your right armpit down as if the armpit could glide down towards the floor, away from the center of your chest. If you can hear snoring, it's my dog. I don't know if the mic's picking it up. And then roll onto your back again. And over to your right. Maybe cross the ankles the other way if you've got them crossed. Go over to your right. Try and tuck your knees up a bit more here. If your armpit's lifting, you know, the back of the shoulders lifting, it doesn't feel as if the armpit can open and drop towards the floor, then have your knees higher. And then so keep your elbow on the floor. You might need to move it though. With your right arm, bend it so that the forearm, you're going to tuck underneath the backs of both knees. It might be that the hand can't come around the backs of both knees. It might be that it can only manage one. If it doesn't feel comfortable, then just use blocks instead. It's just a variation. Use blocks instead and place your knees and feet onto the blocks or a bolster. Option is to either stay like that with the legs bent, or you could offer the feet towards the back of the room. So in other words, we kind of grow a little longer through the legs, but we're not moving where the thigh bones are because we've got them caught up with the arms. And follow your breath. Rebend the legs if they went out. Take the left knee out, roll onto your back and arms wide. You might need to level up your hips, depends. So let's go over to the left, keep the knees tucked up. So when the knees are tucked up, it's easier to scoot your left arm underneath. And sometimes it can get a little bit ouchy in the elbow where it's on the floor. Excuse me. If that's the case, put a bit of blanket or a bit of shift over onto your mat a bit more, so your elbow's on the mat. So you're possibly just staying with the legs bent. You could offer the feet towards the back of the room. Nice. A couple more. And bend the legs. I'm going to take the right leg out. And then the left and coming back to the middle. And then we'll go wide with the knees. And drop the weight of your thighs towards your sides. Out to the sides. Just start to drop and pull your right leg and then your left leg a little lower, and that will induce a rocking feeling. But as you pull the right leg out to the side, you're letting the leg drift out to the side as you rock that way. And then when you go to the left, you're letting the knee fall out to the side as you rock to the left. So it's not just rocking on your back, you're also widening one hip and then the other, one inner groin and then the other. And then bring the knees together. If you don't like rocking, just come up to sitting. Otherwise, we'll rock a few times on your back. And eventually, what we get eventually over time perhaps is the back is completely rounded. There's no flat bits. 2 more. So you're looking to really curl your spine. And then come up to sitting or to kneeling and hands and knees. Okay, so we open the hands here so the fingers grow long, palm of the hand and the wrist open. Okay, so we're going to move your right shoulder blade up and down. It's just that glidey, slidey, greasy, lubricating slide under the shoulder blade. So as you do that, can you not move your body to bring it up and down, but just the shoulder, just the arm, and the shoulder blade will go with it. Okay, and then can you make some circles with your right shoulder? So you'll find you kind of have to end up coming a bit closer and further away from the floor, but that's just from the movement of the circling within your right shoulder. It's the only thing that is taking the spine up and down. Circle the other way. And then neutral. And with that same side arm, you're going to draw your shoulder down towards the waist, but this time I want you to really engage below the shoulder, from the shoulder towards the waist. I want you to sort of engage that area, to squeeze that right shoulder blade towards your waist, and then start to turn into the waist. So it's a bit of a side turn. So squeezing in to that right side waist from the shoulder blade. And then relax. And then bring attention to your right hip. And then you're going to draw your right hip round to the right with a squeeze in the right side waist. And then you're going to draw your right shoulder blade down to the right so that there's even more squeeze in the right side waist. And then as you release, it kind of just pings back to the middle, to neutral. Okay, so come back up onto kneeling, up to kneeling. You can have a toes tucked under or not. And just give the shoulders a roll, just see how that right one feels compared to the left. Okay, and then hold your thumbs before we do the other side. Hold your thumbs with your 4 fingers, put the knuckles together, and then you can do whatever you want with the toes. You're going to put the backs of the hands on the floor, and then any amount we're lifting the chest away from the floor. Great. Okay, so let's bring the hands back to the floor. And we're going to take the left shoulder forwards and backwards. If it doesn't feel good if it feels horrible in your shoulders, you could do that without any weight on the arm. You could do it up here from kneeling if it doesn't feel okay for you. And then we're going to circle. And circle the other way. If it doesn't feel nice as well circling both ways, just stick with one way. Or make the circles smaller. Okay, and then we're going to draw the left shoulder down from below the shoulder blade. So all of the muscles, so the muscle that's really connecting the very tip of your shoulder blade is drawing down towards the waist. And then relax. So you come back to center. And then we'll do it again. So you draw the bottom tip of your shoulder blade down towards the left waist. And then with that, start to curl into the left waist. And then come back to center. And then left hip, bring attention there. And we're going to draw the left hip around to the left. So it's a bit like a left sway in your hip, but with attention to the muscles in the left waist. And then draw the shoulder blade down and curl into it. So the hips and the shoulder are coming both in that same direction. And then release to neutral. Okay, so we'll come into a diagonal puppy dog. So with your right arm, reach the top left corner of your mat as far as it will go, and then come down, lean to your right a little bit and come down. You might want to be on the left elbow as well so that you can feel rested here. And imagining that your right arm all the way up into the armpit, all the way along the ribs, and then up high underneath the belly, right up towards the groins, is like a hammock. So the hammock swing is at its most highest, right up behind the pubis. And then it's reaching down in towards the fingertips. You can draw back towards the top of the hammock, going backwards and upwards at the pelvis, at the front of the belly. You might be on the right-hand side of your forehead. A couple more breaths. And as you exhale, you're going to slide back onto your hands and knees. And then taking your left arm long down to the right-hand side of your mat. And then as you come down, already thinking of leaning into that left side hammock that we've created within the system, within our body, ribs, waist, belly, armpit. If it feels weird for you, you could try turning the palm to face up. It's actually quite nice to do anyway as a variation. You could go one and then the other. because when we turn the palm up, I'd like to practice that the palm turns up from the elbow, so the whole forearm turns with the hand. It's not just from the wrist. The way our elbow joint is designed, we can actually turn the forearm completely around without changing the upper arm. Couple more breaths. And we'll come out on an exhale to support the belly, to support the back. Okay. So we'll just softly glide your shoulder blades down your back. It's not a lock, it's a soft glide. And let the elbows slightly also relax. And start to bring your heart and your lower ribs forwards. And start to move your belly and your pubic bone backwards so that we come into cow. And then as we inhale, I'd like to puff your breath up into your upper back and round it, dropping your head and dropping your tail. And we'll stay here for a bit. So here in our cat position, the shoulder blades drop away down your sides. There's space between the shoulder blades for the spine to move through. And then we let the rest of the spine curl into a nice rounded shape, dropping the weight of the head, dropping the weight of the sacrum. And then neutral spine. As a soft one more, we're going to glide the shoulder blades a little bit down. As the shoulder blades glide down, a softness in the elbow. The front of the rib cage moves forwards. The front of the lower belly at the pelvis pubic bone area moves backwards. And you're finding that stretch, that length in the front of the belly. Each time you inhale, you might loosen that effort a little. And each time you exhale, you might propel forwards and backwards a little bit more. So the inhale lets it go, and the exhale moves you deeper into the expression. And then one more, we're going to round into cat. So you broaden the shoulder blades, let the spine come through. And from this cat, we'll come into child's pose with a really rounded back. So curl your bottom down towards your feet. Wait till your bottom hits the feet. If you need a block, then use a block. And then walk the fingertips forwards. You might need a block for underneath your head, otherwise bring the head to the floor. The elbows might graze the ground, but don't lean into them. We're going to reach the fingertips. Shoulder blades are kind of falling away to their side, to the sides of you, side body. And we'll take a couple of breaths here. Let's take our awareness of our breath here into the belly, into the tummy area. So as you exhale, you're going to draw the belly in. And as you inhale, you're going to release the belly out. You might notice, as you fully breathe in and out, that your head, your forehead gets a little heavier on the ground and then a little bit lighter on the ground. Nice. So one more breath. And then down face dog. So we'll slide the hands a little further in maybe, tuck the toes under. And we'll roll over the feet and go backwards through the belly, backwards with the seat bones. And pedal out the legs. If we can find a little bit of length in the foot, the underside of the foot, you could look underneath your toes as you lengthen the leg. And then walk to the top of the mat into a forward fold. And then we'll open the feet, so from underneath the foot. I'll tell you what, from the big toe side of the foot, can you move forwards? Okay, so that's just an activation inside the foot. From the little toe side of the foot, can you move backwards? Again, it's just an activation inside the foot. And then oscillate that forwards through the big toe, backwards through the little toe, forwards through the big, backwards through the little toe side of the foot. And from the strength within the foot, and you might notice your lower leg also engaged, we're going to come up to standing. Bring the arms up into the air and then bring them back down through the heart space and releasing. And then when you inhale, bring the arms up, and as you exhale, bow down to the floor, back into your forward fold, halfway lift as you get there. And then right leg into a lunge. Bring your right knee to the floor, pad it if you need to. And point the back toes or rest the top of the foot on the floor. Although you don't have to do that, you could have the back toes tucked under. So let's bring the hands on the inside of the foot, so go a little bit wider with the left foot. Use blocks under the hands if you need. And then taking little sways left and right through the inner left thigh. So rocking from left to back again. So although we're resting on the knee, there is an activation through the top of the foot, so that the right leg is engaged slightly into a reach into the top of the foot. There's a tone in the belly as it's lengthening here. You're not just dumping, like if you've had a big meal. And then slide, tuck your right toes under, and we'll go back into down face dog. Cool, let's come up with the right leg. And then bring the right foot between the hands. Same thing on the other side. So you're just going to bring the left knee down, take the right foot out to the side. And little rocking. As you rock to the right, you'll probably notice the right inner groin lengthening, as well as the front of the left hip flexor, the left hip. So you can just completely rest the back knee into the ground, but ideally a little bit of a reach into the left foot so that the lower leg is involved as well, the left leg. Couple more rocks. And then you're going to bring the hands around the foot, walk it in a bit and step forward. Stop the head. So let's find that oscillation, big toe side of the foot reaching forwards, little toe side of the foot reaching backwards. And you might even pulse through that. As a result of pulsing through that, it might go up the legs and into the hips. And we'll stand, bring the arms up, and then down through the heart space. Let's interlace the hands behind your back. Okay, now keep the elbows from straightening. Keep them slightly unlocked, as in slightly bent, unlocked. And then we'll take the collarbones wide. And then as you smile widely through the collarbones, can you then take your collarbones out to the sides a bit more? So if that's my collarbones, I'm asking them to go further out rather than backwards. Can you touch the walls on either side of the room with your collarbones? Okay, great. Releasing, bringing the arms up, inhale, and then fold as you exhale. Halfway lift, inhale, and left leg down the mat. Bring the knee to the floor. And we'll come up. Bring the right elbow onto the leg. Side bend, lean to your right. Now, before we bring the arm up, just sort of noticing the left side waist. And so relax your arm, but just relax your forearm, bring your left elbow up. And then maybe follow it with the forearm. So it's kind of relaxed in the forearm. And then bring the left hand to the floor. Take your right hand on the inside of your leg on the floor. And then reach underneath and see if you can move towards your left knee with your right hand. And then slide it back. Let's come up again onto the elbow. Lean to your right. We'll pick up the elbow. It's pulling up out of the waist. Okay, so we kind of let the arm hang heavy even as the elbow lifts. And then maybe the forearm following. And then hand to the floor. Take the right arm underneath again towards the left knee. You might take the hips back a bit as you do that, but not deliberately trying too hard there. And then bring the hands back and step back into your dog. And then we'll go up into the air with the left leg and bring it through between the hands and come onto the right knee. Elbow onto the thigh. So when we lean to the left, you're already feeling the waist lengthen. The elbow increases the lengthening of the waist, and then offering the forearm into it. The feet have to be engaged here because if not, the rest of the body has to overwork. You want your foundations involved. So check into activation in the feet. And then bring the right hand down and we take the left arm underneath your body towards the right knee. You can tuck in the chin, so it's a bit of a rounded position. And then come back up into our side bend again. So we're going to lean to the left, come up with the elbow first maybe, and then open out your wing from its roots. And then again, bringing the right hand down to support, left arm coming under towards your right knee. Great, okay, well done. And then come back, tuck the back toes under, frame the left foot and step forwards. Forward fold. Find that rhythm through the feet. And come up to standing. Reach for the sky. And then bring in the hands through the heart space. Once again, interlace your hands. And there's a softness in the elbow. Locked elbows, it's not that great because you might press into the elbow joint. So we're going to soften the elbows. We're going to go wide with the shoulders. And then again, seeing if you can take the head of your arm bones and your collarbones to the side walls wide. Maybe take the hands away from your hips a couple of, it's not looking for a massive amount, but maybe as it opens you might go a bit further. So you wait to see what the tissues are doing in the shoulder area. They might need a bit of time, I know mine do, before you take them further back. But we're still trying to find that width in the collarbones. And then release. Let your arms dangle, tucking in the chin. We'll roll down, support through the foundations. Good. Then step back with your right leg. This time we're going to keep the knee up. And then engage behind the left hamstring, the left leg, left buttock. Now move your hands to the right, all the way over to the right, maybe almost off the mat with the left hand, off the mat with the right hand. But don't lean your hips over with it. We're going to keep the hips over to the left and then walk the arms forwards on a down face dog. So maybe more the left arm really. So your hips staying in line with how they normally are in a lunge. You're not leaning over with your hips to the right. Okay, and then come back up to the middle. Frame your foot, step back into your dog. So we're going to ripple through the spine. So curl into a rounded back, tail and chin in, and then roll forwards. And then lift the head so that you're in a plank. Your nose looks towards the floor, just in front of your fingers. And then put the knees to the ground, point the toes. We're going to make some circles with the hips. Now, as you circle your hips, can you use your belly and your waist to circle the hips, not your bum, if you see what I mean. So you're not trying to draw a circle with your bum, you're using your waist to make the circles. And then circle the other way. You might make your circles a bit bigger. You might come through up dog in your circles. You might already be on the floor thinking, I've had enough. And then if you like up dog, we'll come through that. Pull the navel through. And then rest onto your belly. Okay, so bring your hands, if they're not already, in line with your lower ribs. The heel of the hand in line with your floating ribs. And then bring your shoulders back onto your upper back. Press the heel of the hand until you feel your upper back and your side body engage. And then resist the urge to bring the elbows out to the sides and shoulder to the front of the ankles. Ankles and shoulders. We're going to lift up, back into your up dog, and then down face dog. If you need to keep your knees on the floor, fine. Otherwise, you could use your belly to lift you and roll over the toes into your down face dog. Okay, left leg coming up. And take it through between the hands. Actually, we'll take the foot out to the side. Okay. We're on the same side again. So what we're going to do here, we're going to turn the left toes out. At least I'm on the same side again. Are you guys on the same side again? Yeah, okay, cool. And then take your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Okay, so then with the feet slightly turned out, we're going to engage that rhythmic action through the foot. So the inside of the foot goes long, outside of the grows towards the big toe, outside of the foot grows towards the heel. And start to bring your hips backwards, as if you're going to sit onto the mat, all the way at the other end of your mat. And keep going backwards with your seat bones, so you start to come into a sitting-ish position. Stay really firm in your legs, in your feet, as the seat bones go back. And then start to rhythmically work that action with the feet. And as you pull back through the little toe side of the foot, you might notice the groins deepen. And then we'll come into a forward fold. So you'll need to turn on your heels and into a forward fold. So your toes face forwards or slightly in. And then it doesn't matter that the feet are still a little wide. We're going to press through the feet, come all the way up to standing, reach for the sky, and then bring the hands at the heart space. And then bring the feet underneath you again. And then inhale, bring the arms up. And exhale, forward fold. And step back through the left leg. And move your right foot out to the side. Okay. So we activate underneath the right thigh. And then take your hands over to the left side of your mat and reach a little bit further away with your right fingertips on that diagonal. But you're still leaning back towards your right hip. Sometimes people end up coming way off the side of your mat with the hips as well. So just be aware of that. A couple more breaths. And then bringing the hand back in line and step back to your dog. Maybe looking underneath the toes as you pedal. Maybe looking underneath both toes, feet. And then round your back. We're going to ripple forwards to plank. Like a wave. Find your plank. So you might actually put the knees to the floor, point the toes. Use your tummy muscles to swirl your hips around. So the bigger the swirls up and to the sides, the more you might feel it. But it feels different than if I just use my bum to swirl. Okay, so I'm kind of keeping my bum from doing the work. I'm using my waist to swirl. Swirl the other way. You might come forward into up dog. Play with it and see how it feels. Might stay in up dog for a breath or two. Pulling the navel forwards. Slithering through. And then coming down onto your belly. Shoulders onto your back. Broaden your collarbones. Broaden your shoulders. Heel of the hand on the floor. Keep the collarbones broad and the shoulders moving out to the sides. Come up through into down face dog. And then bring your right leg up into the air. Bring it to the outside of your right foot. Bring the left foot to the outside of the left hand, so you're in that squat position. And then we find the little toe side of the foot, draw it backwards towards the heel. So it's an activation of the outside edge of the foot. The legs can bend out to the sides. The seat bones, the lower belly and the seat bones go together to the back of your mat. You keep going back. The hips might start to come down, but really you're asking everything to lengthen. You're not looking to round your back to bring your bottom down. You're looking for the spine to lengthen. So if you can come all the way down, then do. Otherwise, stay where you are with your fingertips on the floor. Nice long spine outside of the foot supporting you. And then we'll come up to standing. So we move the seat bones backwards, like you're on hydraulics. And then come up. Okay. And then bring your feet underneath you again. I don't know if this makes any difference putting the lights on. Okay, let's bring the arms up. And release, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Fold, exhale. Coming all the way up, inhale. Reach for the sky. And exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale, dive. Halfway lift, inhale. And folding. Rise on up again. And hands to your heart. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Right leg lunge. Up or down with the knee, it's up to you. Inhale, lift. To your heart as you exhale. Grab your hands behind your back. Inhale, broaden your shoulders. Exhale here. Inhale again, broadening the shoulders. Exhale to plank. Inhale in plank. You can put the knees on the floor if you like. Exhale, lower to the ground. Inhale, cobra. Exhaling, lower. Choose if you want to do up dog. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, down face dog. Roll over the toes if you like, otherwise hands and knees first. Right leg coming up as you inhale, and exhale, scorpion tail. Inhale, back up with the leg, and lunge, exhale. Get ready for a forward fold. Inhale, heart lifting. And then exhale, dive down, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. And folding. Reach for the sky. And to your heart. Great. Inhale, let's bring the arms back up. Drop through the legs. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. And left leg lunge. Knee to the floor or not. Inhale, come up. And exhale to your heart. Hold the hands behind your back. Inhale, broaden the shoulders. And stopping here as you exhale. And then inhaling again. Widen the collarbones. And then down face dog. Exhale. Inhale, plank. Sorry, I meant exhale. Stopping here. So on your next exhale, coming down to the ground. And cobra or up dog as you inhale. Exhale here, or come out. Inhale again into your back bend or your front body stretch. And then exhale, down face dog. Let's bring the left leg up on an inhale. Scorpion tail on an exhale. Inhale, leg back up. And exhale, lunge. Inhale, lift your heart. And exhale, dive down, forward fold. Stopping here, a couple of breaths. And coming all the way up, reach for the sky. And bring it home. Okay, release the hands. So go wide down your mat. Okay, toes slightly angled in. Don't know if you can see my legs in the sunlight or not, but toes slightly angled in, heels slightly angled out. And then you can bring your hands to your hips and then soften your knees. So we're kind of going to move outwards into the little toe side of the foot and inwards from the inside edge of the foot so that you roll towards your outer heel and then forward fold. Bring the hands to the floor. The legs can lengthen if they're happy to, but you don't want to lock your knees and push them back. It's just an opening of the legs. So stay back in your outer heels and walk your fingertips forwards, but lean your weight into your outer heels a little bit more than you might do if you was to walk your hands too far forwards. And then we're going to bend into one knee out to the side. So not bending into the knee, dropping it inwards, but bending into the knee, dropping it out to the side. And then let's change over to the other side. If you need to change the angle of your foot, it's fine. Let's come back up and over to the first side. You don't want to push into anything either. Up and over to the left side. And then back to centre. Slide the hands back. Bend into one knee, just as we did, but with the hands further back. And lift your spine so that you're halfway lift, but your fingertips are on the floor. Okay, so you're flat back to the ground. Then let's rise up onto the straight leg heel. You're going to lift up onto the heel of the straight leg. And then can you sink down a little more into your lunge leg? And then move your hands underneath you so that you don't fall down as you get lower and lower and lower. And the heel might come off the floor, and that's fine. You might come all the way down into a one-sided squat, but you might not. Good. And then come up. Plant that foot onto the floor. We're going to go to the other side. So bend that leg that you just had straighter out to the side. So you're not letting the knee roll in because you're looking for the outside edge of the foot again. Do you remember the little toe side of the foot drawing back to the heel? Lift up onto the other heel and flex the foot. And then maybe as you walk your hands underneath you to stop you falling onto the floor, you can come a little bit lower. Maybe, otherwise you might be more upright. With your bum more upright. Good. Okay, and then let's come back up. Let's go over to your first side again. Same thing, so you're going to roll over the heel, come down. You might be off the floor with your heel. You might sit into the hip, into the squat. And then if possible, if your hands don't need to be underneath you to support you, you could push back through the back of your arm to push the knee away from you. Just different options. You don't need to be stuck in one specific thing, whether we can do it or not. And then let's come back up. Over to the other side. All of this is all about just shifting energy. Shifting energy or sort of clearing the body so it can be more efficient, and our mental state as well. So you might turn the back of your arm towards the inside edge of the knee, lean into it, and each side will be different. Last breath. And coming back up. Okay, then walk your hands around to the front of your mat. Now spin on your heels and toes so you're not leaving your foot behind as you spin. And we'll step back into our dog, bring the knees to the floor and take a brief child's pose. Okay, so let's come up onto hands and knees or down dog. You're going to bring your left shin forwards and sit down onto your left buttock. Okay, so this pigeon version where you've got your shin at a right angle and you're definitely sitting down on that left thigh. It's not lifted at all. So you can lean to your left, and then we're going to bring your right knee, if it's uncomfortable, actually we'll do this. We're going to bring your right knee forwards towards the foot, and then forward. So we'll come back up and then see where you go with this. You can pick up your right leg, hello, and then bring the knee back in line with your hip. And then take your leg back and forwards. And lean as much as you like. Go over there. But if you can lift your hands away from the floor, you could do that. Go over there, Cooper. Go on, off you go, sweetie. And then, without bringing the leg to the floor, maybe we're going to bring it around into the pigeon variation. And then you take your left knee to the foot, and then we'll forward fold. So we're just on the other side. So if you did the other leg, just make sure you've switched it. Okay, and then coming back up. And then leaning to your right, lift up the knee, the whole left leg, and then maybe take that leg out in line with your hip. And then moving it back and forwards. You might want to stay leaning onto your elbow or your hand, or lean into your knee. This often causes cramp if it's not used to it. So don't worry if it does. Just stretch it out. Maybe don't push into cramp. Okay, and then we'll bring that left leg around to the front. And then take your right leg back. This time maybe take it down the mat. And you stay on your left outer thigh, rolling maybe towards left outer thigh, left back of thigh, as you roll the pelvis forwards towards facing front. We could add on where we take the chest around to the left, just on a diagonal slope, all the way like a corkscrew coming from out your right foot, up and around towards the right shoulder or the left shoulder, and then reaching away on that diagonal with your right arm towards the left of your mat. So it's like a corkscrew, right toes up the leg, wrapping around the waist, wrapping around the front of the chest towards the left shoulder. And then we'll come back with the arm if you took it there. Take your right leg back if you took it back. Switch sides, so bring the right leg forwards and the left leg back. Maybe all the way down the mat. Otherwise, just keep the sole of the foot and the knee touching each other at the front of the mat. Okay, a little roll inside the pelvis. So the pelvis rolls back and forth over the top of the right femur, the leg bone. So as the pelvis rolls around towards forwards, the right thigh stays down, but you might find you get a little bit more onto the underside of your right leg in time. So you could just stay there. Or you could bring your left knee forwards and then do the twist. It's not really a twist, it's more of a corkscrew. Okay, so from your left toes, reach out from the left toes, traveling up in a spiral up the leg so that the pelvis and the chest might turn right a little. And then if you consider that spiral coming up from the left leg across the hip, goes across the front of your right chest and towards the right shoulder, there's the spiral. And then you might bring your left arm out to the side. And you'll feel it in any of different areas. And it might be completely different on each side. Probably is. For me on this side, it's much more about my lower body. And when I did the twist on the other side, it was much more about my ribs. So it's just the way things are. But it's still looking for the spiral shape, the breath being able to flow. Good. One more breath here. Great. And then coming back around. Just bring both legs forwards. Okay, so undo the cross. Have your feet out in front of you. Knees bent, quite bent actually. And then if you just grab hold of just beneath your knees, tops of your shin bones, and then we'll tension to the shoulders and the shoulder blades on your back. So these are part of your shoulders, these bits on the back body here. So as you draw your shoulder blades down, start now also to bring your back muscles lower down between the shoulder blades and the waist. Draw them down. So everything starts to slide down towards your tail. And then bring your hands behind you, fingers pointing forwards. And keep everything sliding down towards your tail. Okay, so if you have your hands too far back, you won't get that integration going all the way down to the tail. And then from the efforting in your back body, not releasing, but can we stay toned in the back body and lift your hips? So it's like your back body is your lift. Pressing the button to the 3rd floor from underneath. Coming out whenever you need to. Take a couple more breaths if you're still with me. And then releasing out. Great. Slide down or lie down. Hug the knees. Taking a little rock. Okay, bringing the feet to the floor for a bridge. So have your feet relatively close to you, as long as that feels comfortable. And as we come up, we're going to lift the chest first. And then as you lift your pelvis, you're going to as you lift your pelvis, you're going to roll the tailbone down towards the backs of the thighs. And then lift the chest towards the back of the room. And then roll the tailbone towards the backs of the thighs. And then lift the chest. And then roll the tailbone. And then roll one shoulder under. And then the other shoulder under. Maybe interlace your hands. So pressing down through the backs of the arms a little bit. Broadening the shoulders. Relaxing the head and neck. And if you feel this pushing into your lower back, tuck your tailbone towards the backs of the thighs. And maybe don't come up so high. Release your arms out of the way. And then take a roll down. Take your feet wider. And we'll take the knees to the right. And then over to the left. And coming back up. Let's bring the ankles together. We're going to take a supine twist on each side. So you've got, you guys know the different variations I normally do. I'm going to run through this one though. So we'll take the left thigh over the right thigh. perhaps a double cross at the ankles. Maybe then as you take your knees to the right, you might shift your hips over to the left. And then don't let your knees come all the way to the floor. We're going to allow the left armpit to drop down towards the ground, and then let the weight of your legs fall, but not by dropping away from the left side shoulder. So that the anchoring, the soft anchoring, if you can, an anchor made out of feathers, is anchoring down through the left upper body, shoulder, armpit. The head might turn left if it feels like it. So I'm not saying don't bring the knees to the floor, because they might come to the floor, but only if they happen to also be there. And then we use the exhale to roll over the foot. Bring your hips to center, and whichever version you did, do on the other side. Whichever version of your twists that you did. So as the knees go to the left, you might shift your hips to the right. And again, so, you know, if I was to think about taking the knees down, my shoulder would come up, and it would defeat what the purpose of what I'm looking for in the right shoulder collarbone area. So that's the effort, or the focus. The knees can fall away from the right side. You might turn the head to the right if it feels comfortable. I didn't offer it on the other side, but sometimes it's quite nice to change the variation by tucking the knees up. Last breath or two. And we use our exhale to bring you out. And uncross the legs. Let's just do something symmetrical. Maybe tuck up your knees, happy baby, bridge, whatever you feel like. And then find your resting pose. So it might be Shavasana with the legs long down the mat. It might be with the legs bent, or you might come to sitting. So just noticing the body, the way it rests into the ground. The rhythmic breathing. And maybe if you'd like to, you could come with me on this visualization Imagining that you could breathe in through the nostrils, down into the pit of the throat, and we energetically hold the breath at the pit of the throat, even though it comes into the lungs. And as you exhale, you move that down and out through your body, all the way out, if you're sitting to your seat bones and if you're lying down through your feet. Then when you inhale, it's back up through the nostrils, pausing as it reaches the pit of the throat. And exhale, down and out, through the seat bones, through the feet maybe. We'll take a few of those. And releasing any visualizations. Just let the body rest. Maybe 1 minute. So whenever you're ready to, you might take a little reach through your fingers, reach through your toes, maybe reaching your arms away from your legs away from your arms, or curl up into a ball. And slowly make your way over onto your side and press up to sitting. It's quite nice to roll towards your front body as you spin around. Okay, let's bring our hands at our hearts. Namaste. Thank you guys, thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Good. All right, I'm glad you enjoyed. Oh, next, hold on a sec. Next